Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. I'm so thrilled to announce that the first of my grade 6 videos is now launched on Patreon, and I'll be adding to that regularly now. My first lesson is an introduction to question 1A, where we're allocating chords, and I discuss the rules of harmony that you need to understand to address this question. And also, I'm so thrilled to announce that everything you need to know for the advanced theory grades, all of the rules of harmony, all of the chords that you'll need to understand, as well as simple traditional style melody composition, is all included in my Harmony and Composition Theory textbook, where I've distilled down years and years of study notes into a compact little theory textbook. This is available on Amazon. You'll find samples of the lesson at the end of this video, and of course all of grades 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 ABRSM Discovering Music Theory grades. The lessons for these are all available on Patreon now, advert free. If you visit patreon.com/Sharon Bill, you'll find all of my lessons there. This week's YouTube lessons have included grade 2 ABRSM Discovering Music Theory, page 23, where I look at groupings of notes and rests and how to do this in all of the time signatures we've learned so far. And grade 2, page 24, begins to look at the new keys of A major, B flat major and E flat major. Lessons scheduled on YouTube also include grade 3 ABRSM Discovering Music Theory, pages 14 to 15, which looks at grouping notes and rests in compound time. And also grade 5 ABRSM Discovering Music Theory, pages 85 to 88, which starts to look at the practice exam paper, looking at the first exam section on the topic of rhythm and the second exam section looking at the topic of pitch. And again, you'll see samples of these lessons at the end of this little video. The first thing, of course, is when you're looking at a melody, we always look for the cadence point. So do make sure that you're fully aware of your cadences. And so remember that, for example, 5 to 1 is a perfect cadence, which we'll usually find at the end of a piece of music because it sounds finished. It's kind of like a ta-da ending. 4 to 1 is also a full close and it sounds finished, but it's a bit more gentle, and that's the plagal cadence. It's kind of like a gentle amen sound at the end of a piece of music. 5 to 6 is interrupted because it sounds like it's going to chord 1 and it sounds like it's going to be finished, but then it takes a sort of a side step and suddenly skews off and doesn't sound finished at all. That's a major chord, not a major key. Remember, there are major, minor, diminished, augmented chords all fitting within the different scale systems. A major chord, so for example, chords 1, 4 and 5 in a major key are major chords. In a major chord, you cannot, you must not, do not double the third. So for example, if we look at, say for example, if we're in C major, a C chord, let's just have treble and bass going here. So a C chord, chord 1, C, E, G, the first, third and the fifth. And so we only have 3 notes and we need to build a 4-part harmony. So we've got the C. Moving on, another important point to notice is in harmony, the leading note must rise to the tonic. And so let's say, for example, we are in A minor and we choose to write a chord 5B. Now in A minor, chord 5 is E, G sharp, B. There's our raised 7th, which we always raise in the minor key. And so if we're writing chord 5B, G sharp will be in the bass, and that means our next chord must have A as the root note because 7 must always rise to 8. So that's something to bear in mind. When you're allocating a chord, you are implying a note, and if the note that you're implying in the bass line is the 7th degree of the scale, the next note must be the 8th, the tonic. So we have 2 beats here, and then we should have 3 in the time of 2, which is a crotchet beat, 3 in the time of 2. There shouldn't be a join there because we should see beat 3, beat 4 separately. So that's not right, is it? This has gone the opposite way. Instead of beaming everything, they've beamed nothing. And so that's not correct because we can't see any beaming showing where each new beat should fall. We should have a group of 3, a group of 3. Here, finally, we get the right example. So 4, 4, 1, 2, there's beat 3, there's beat 4, and the beaming reflects that because we've got 3 in the time of 2, 3 in the time of 2, beats 1, 2, 3, 4. There is our correct answer. So here we have a D sharp, an A sharp, and an E sharp. In actual fact, that would be correct if it was in the bass clef, but everything is a line or a space too low. So that's written incorrectly for the treble clef. It would be correct in the bass clef, and we can see that here because in the bass clef that's an F. Good boys deserve football. There's our C sharp, all cows. And there's our all cows eat grass, G sharp, and they're all written in the correct place, giving us that little. Let's try this one. First of all, just counting the groups. Rather than counting every single quaver beat, let's count at the groups. So we know that a dotted minim divides into two dotted crotchets. There's a dotted crotchet, there's a dotted crotchet. So rather than splitting everything into quavers, we know that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 dotted crotchets, remembering that each dotted crotchet is indeed a group of 3 quavers. So we know that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 3, which is 12 quaver beats per bar. So you can just do that quickly at a glance instead of breaking everything down into quavers all the time. However, we do need to use ties because, for example, here we could not write this as a crotchet because we need to show 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The beam must start to show. So let's just take it a little section at a time. Here we have 6 semiquavers, which we know from that little number 6 means it's 6 in the time of 4. So whatever's going on here, we've actually got the same time as 4 semiquavers. We're not performing it, we're just looking at the maths, which we know is 1 crotchet beat. So that'll do for starters. Now here we've got a quaver note and a quaver rest. And they too will give us a crotchet beat, and the fact that it's not grouped together with this one is a clue, and the fact that we get these 2 quaver notes grouped together is another clue. We can see that we're grouping in crotchet beats here. And so here we have, in the bass clef, we know that the notes are good boys deserve, so if that's a G, that's an F double sharp, and so there's F double sharp. So we could have note G as an alternative to that. And so if we glance through, that won't do, that's a G flat, that's not the same, that's F sharp as the N harmonic alternative. That's an E sharp, which is not the same, but F double sharp and G does have the same sound pitch.